Martin Luther King was born on January 15th, 1929. He was a civil rights leader and also a Baptist. He had a big impact on the African American community and also an impact on all races in the sense that he was a key figure into getting the Voting Rights Act of 1965, in addition to the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
When Martin Luther King was young, he had the name Michael King Jr. like his father, Michael King Sr., but was later changed to Martin Luther King, which is what he is known now. He grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, with his sister Christine, who was the oldest, and his brother, who is now called Reverend Daniel Williams King. His father was more of the strict parent, while his mother was soft and caring. Martin was taught from his father about the unethical thing that racism was, and which later had a big impact on his life.
For Martin Luther King Jr.'s education, he grew up as quite an intelligent student, as he skipped both 9th grade and 11th grade, and went to Morehouse College when he was 15 years old. Martin Luther King Jr.'s family was deeply religious. However, he didn't fully agree with religion in general, and he didn't like the deeply emotional displays of religion and worship.
Martin Luther King Jr. rebelled against his father's conservative way of thinking. In college, he drank beer and played pool. He became attracted to a white woman and went through a hard time before he could break from the affair. When Martin was 12 years old, his grandmother Jenny died of a heart attack while he was at a parade that he wasn't supposed to go to. When he realized that he could have been there for her, he was so traumatized that he attempted suicide by jumping out of a 2-story window from his own home. After Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white man, King was enlisted to help organize and lead a boycott of the public transportation system. He gave his first speech in Montgomery, Alabama, telling thousands of Montgomery's black citizens, "There comes a time when people get tired of being trampled over by the iron feet of oppression." National attention was attracted by the boycott, and at 27 years old, King was arrested for his nonviolent protests of the bus company's policies. 381 days later, the Supreme Court removed the city and state bus segregation laws from the Constitution. After being accepted at several colleges for his doctoral study, including Yale and Edinburgh in Scotland, King enrolled in Boston University. During this time at Boston, he met a young singer and musician named Coretta Scott. They got married in June 1953 and had 4 children: Yolanda, Martin Luther King III, Dexter Scott, and Bernice. King became a pastor at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. At 25 years old, he completed his PhD and got his degree in 1955. On October 19, 1960, after his return to Atlanta, King and 75 students entered a local department store and requested lunch counter service but were denied. After they refused to leave the counter area, King and 36 other students were arrested. Realizing that this would hurt the city's reputation, the mayor arrested and imprisoned King for a traffic violation instead. Later, candidate John F. Kennedy personally called King's wife and apologized for the harsh treatment of her husband. The news of the violation soon spread and built political pressure. King was released from prison. In the spring of 1963, King held the Birmingham campaign, and police let loose dogs and used fire hoses against the demonstrators. King was blamed by both black and white for taking risks and endangering children. King was once again imprisoned, where he thoroughly dictated his theory of nonviolence. On August 28, 1963, over 200,000 people joined the March on Washington, which ended at the Washington Monument. Here is where King gave his speech, "I Have a Dream," emphasizing his belief that all men could be brothers.
At this time, I have the honor to present to you the moral leader of our nation.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream.
By 1968, King was getting tired of marches and campaigns and was irritated by the slow movement of civil rights. By spring, Memphis sanitation workers threw a labor strike. This brought King to one less crusade. On April 3rd, he gave an eerily prophetic speech and told his followers, "I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as people will get to the promised land." The next day, at Lorraine Motel, Martin Luther King Jr. was shot while standing on a balcony. The convicted sniper by the name of James Earl Ray was eventually apprehended after a 2-month international manhunt. Ray admitted to the murder and was sentenced to 99 years in prison. He died in prison on April 23, 1998. The murder of King sparked riots in over 100 cities across the U.S. Martin Luther King was the most widely known African American leader of his era. He has his own holiday in honor of him, as well as buildings and schools named after him. He also has a memorial in Independence Hall. Throughout the world, Martin Luther King Jr. will forever be known for his amazing efforts he had on the civil rights movement of the 1960s.